Hey, what's up guys, Rockskull here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the Knight in Dead by Daylight. A killer often hated by the community because of his power, but I think most people can maybe at least agree with me that his art design and the overall concept of the power are pretty well done. I think it just really fails in the execution of how his power works and makes it so frustrating to play against / as. The devs also seem to have unfortunately kind of forgotten about this killer, with my question about it in the recent AMA just not being answered. Sad face. I'm hoping with this video it can bring some light on him so the devs can maybe make an attempt to fix him, because I think he's actually pretty fixable and has some redeeming qualities, unlike some other killers. Before I begin on how I would fix the Knight, I think it's best for me to establish first what makes the Knight just so frustrating to play against / as. First off is the most well known being how his power feels super uncounterable and low skill at loops. What most Knights will do is just plop a guard instantly where they're standing at a loop so they start chasing the survivor. Then they go the other direction of the guard to pincer attack and pretty much guarantee a hit. It runs into the problem of the only counterplay being just to run away to another loop if possible, and not much else. And for playing as a Knight, my main issue is just how it feels that there is a lack of control with his power, with the randomized guards and sometimes being punished for sniper guard plays. Now that we have our problems listed, we can start going into exactly what I would buff and nerf. I should note here before I begin that the Knight's power is pretty dang complicated with how many specific numbers there are to it. I tried my best here, but it's hard to make exact measurements on certain numbers that I changed, so just know that any numbers I say for distance and time are subject for change. You can let me know in the comments, of course, what you would want different about them. Now we'll start out with the nerfs I would make first. Whenever a guard is placed under 20 meters, they'll now be put into trap mode. In this mode, the guard stands completely still wherever they are placed and have a much smaller circle than patrol mode. My current thoughts on circle sizes are 2 meters for the jailer and 1 meter for the assassin and carnifex. Additionally, the guard stays in the spot for a much shorter duration. I'm thinking like 10 seconds for jailer and 5 seconds for assassin and carnifex. Note that everything that applied to hunts before still applies to guards that find survivors in this mode, like the flag, the startup duration, etc. The green orb can now also be seen up to 20 meters instead of 10 meters to match this. Now my thoughts here are to make it so Knights cannot really just place a guard right in front of them to guarantee a chase on the survivor. Instead, it rewards them for blocking off an area during chase or just being precise with the placement of the guard. Buffs later on will help make it so survivors don't just run away from loops to counterplay like before. Let's continue with the other nerfs. Guards can no longer go straight through pallets and now can be stunned and killed similar to Nemesis zombies. Also, guards take 1.7 seconds to go through a window instead of 1 second. I made the pallet change because I've always found it very dumb that survivors that drop pallets on guards just get hit for it anyway. I think a survivor should be rewarded for dropping it since pallets are a limited and valuable resource on the map. Additionally, I like to imagine that a Knight that snipes people with guards can whittle down the map's resources very quickly with this change and buffs I mentioned later on. The window nerf is to make vault speed align with the base killer vault speed and make guards feel more counterable in chase if there are no pallets around. And the final nerf I want to do is make it so the carnifex can no longer just instant break pallets. He still breaks walls and generators very fast along with all of his other perks. This change mostly has to do with the buff I'll mention next, but also playing against this can feel very rough. I will admit there is some counterplay to it by acting like you're going to drop the pallet, but it ends up being a 50-50 against decent Knights, and I'm honestly not a big fan of those playing as and against. Now onto the buffs to make our boy feel more enjoyable to play as. First one I want to mention, and the main reason I did the carnifex nerf, is the Knight can now select whatever guard he pleases. With the Carnifex nerf and Jailer being pretty good in trap mode, I think this would make it so Knights would use a variety of guards throughout the match depending on the scenario. And the next buff is Map of the Realm and Call to Arms are now base kit, with reworks to the add-ons. Map of the Realm of course doesn't apply to trap mode, only patrol mode. If you are a Knight player, you probably know that these add-ons feel pretty much required to have a decent time on this killer, especially if you want to try and do the snipe playstyle. Also now guards that find survivors in patrol mode now hunt slightly faster. Assassin 4.6 meters a second, Jailer and Carnifex 4.3 meters a second. The flag is also no longer applied to guards that find survivors in patrol mode. These changes are to of course reward sniper plays more and make it so survivors are more likely to waste pallets on the map killing guards. The flag not being applied to patrol mode makes it so the Knight can be really good at wasting a survivor's time as well if there are no pallets around. With the add-ons base kit in this buff, this is also an attempt at me making it so survivors don't just run away from a loop a Knight tries to use his power in. Like if a Knight realizes a survivor starts running away while using his power, they're more likely to guarantee a hit on them using the bigger circle in patrol and the guards being speedier. If they guess wrong, however, and the survivor stays, the survivor is likely to get away with the guard being far away from the loop. Final buff I wanted to give the Knight is being able to recall guards that are in the hunt or patrol, but not in trap mode. It'll give like a 5-second cooldown or something after recalled to prevent spam. This gives him more control of his power and prevents situations where your guards get held hostage after sniper plays. Besides buffs / reworks to some more of his add-ons, I think this is all I'll change on the Knight to make him more enjoyable for both sides. As I said before, you can let me know what you think of these ideas in the comments, and possibly what numbers you might change to make it work better. Other than that, that's all I wanted to talk about for this video, so make sure to leave a like and stuff if you enjoyed, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All he wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.